Welcome to this discussion on why I started Filmmaker Berserk and why I'm in love with AI for the movie business. I am Krista Grotti Saxon, an executive film producer, award-winning actress, and aviation software development consultant. Thanks for being here, Berserker. This is my episode titled Why Filmmaking and Aviation Led Me to the Same AI Solution. I'm the Queen Berserker of AI and film business education, arming filmmakers and creators with real-world tools to escape the starving artist's lie and destroy the outdated Hollywood machine. I teach AI and filmmaking AI for creators and YouTubers, film business mastery. And here is why. I spent 14 years in the field hands-on from design to implementation of tech systems for aviation, including hands-on in the design of NYC's airport curbside taxi operations, where we replaced corruption with automation. In fact, when I showed up to fix or train, they would ask me if I'm a porn actress. I said close, but I'm the tech guy here. I watched the pushback get so violent, they blew up my project manager's car. I've seen what happens when you challenge the old system. In fact, I was in the dead center of it. And I've never backed down, not to one of them. And I never threw anyone under the bus, even when cornered. In fact, I was questioned also, interrogated, and followed. They thought I was Italian. One detective got in my face and said, "Grotti, you're Italian, aren't you, Krista?" I said, "No, I'm a Viking. I'm Scandinavian." A woman I was working with was put in witness protection. I said, "That's her problem, not mine." I said, "I don't even frickin' know that woman." He said, "She really looks up to you, and she's in fear for her life." I said, "That is silly." I said, "What would I know? I'm just a blonde porn girl. I work on the software." My gosh, the madness. Fast forward to me getting the funding to make a major movie, and I went through the same psychotic shit. Only this was not fear of software changing their jobs. It was excitement over a budget coming to town. Everybody, from unions to guys on the street, wanted a piece. Maybe the problem is me. Maybe I disrupt people and cause them to just lose it. Yet meanwhile, in my software career, the emergence of Uber at airport curbsides was like a flash flood tearing through a long, dry riverbed, fast, unstoppable, and reshaping the landscape in minutes. One day, it was all taxis and shuttles. The next, rideshare drivers were swarming like water rushing to a low point. These new transportation network companies were operating on their own terms, self-reporting their revenue, paying airports whatever they felt like, and flipping the entire system on its head. Airport operators were furious. Their curbside was being hijacked, their revenue streams undermined, and they had no control. That's when I saw the opportunity. Before I ever invested in Nation's Fire, I was traveling the country, meeting with airport directors, standing on New York City curbsides, watching operations unravel in real time. Uber and Lyft had just exploded onto the scene, and what I saw was chaos. Taxi companies, who had invested millions in medallions, insurance, and regulated fleets, were being steamrolled overnight. Airports didn't need to rely on the honor system. They needed their own data, their own billing systems, and their own control. So I went to work with my team to build it. But here's the twist. I didn't know I was witnessing the exact same scam that I was about to discover had been ripping through the independent film industry in Hollywood since the beginning of time. When I funded a motion picture with a high budget, I don't know, but we were in for another wild ride of bribery, extortion, self-reporting by highway robber distributors, who absolutely do not want filmmakers to have AI tools that prove why your distributor is a liar and how AI can kill their game. So before we had all of the predictive analysis tools that I show you in our courses, making movies were a financial disaster. We had a wonderful line producer, however, I signed the checks. I did not tell the cast and crew, however, that I was the film owner. Many just thought I was an actress. I had so much to deal with as it was. In the after hours of production, I was receiving phone calls from complete strangers who say they know someone on my set calling for me to wire them money. I said, "Who in the F are you?" And they said they have a contract with an above-the-line member of my team that states that they get a percentage of my budget for introducing them to people that ended up working on my production. You know, I went off. I told him, "Don't you effing call me again. I don't care what deal you have with idiots. F off." WTF. I heard him hand the phone back to my above-the-line team member and friend and say, "She said no." Then there was another guy. I answered and he yelled, "Deposit 10 grand to my account by 10 a.m. I will send you the info." I said, "Who the F is this?" He said, "I am with your producer." He was referring to my Oscar-winning producer. "You see, this family stays together and rakes cash off every set." I said, "How about I meet you in a back alley?" Tonight. Then we were shooting a scene outside a car wash. It was a big production. I am walking by to go speak to someone on set, and I see an arm in the bushes. You have got to be kidding me. Teamsters in the bushes, bribes, SAG forcing us to provide jobs to fill positions we didn't need. More money, money, money under the direction of our Oscar-winning producers we hired. They gave jobs in exchange for favors on other people's future productions. Yeah, I'm not the same person. I'm clinically psychotic after the million violations. Maybe I went clinically insane, but I didn't break. I built a rebellion because when I stepped into the world of movie distribution, holy crap, I saw the same shady playbook. Distributors, self-reporting earnings, inflated expenses, phantom costs. And every time you asked for an answer, they'd say, all the money went to release your movie. Or as in my distributor at Vision Films who said, Krista, shut up. Oh hell. I jumped over my desk to scalp her. I couldn't even see straight. You may ask how it got to the point of all of this. I will say one word, money. We trusted those who claimed to be experts in their field, but the budget we were providing is actually incredibly rare in Hollywood for independent film, like 13 times more than the average film. We felt at first that we were under the guidance of professionals, so we paid, and kept paying, thinking this time it would be worth it, just like the airports. But it never was. There was no oversight, they just legally steal. The film industry is worried about AI taking jobs. Distributors, executives, and studios have been taking pay from jobs and scaring away investors who would otherwise provide jobs since the beginning of time. That's why independent film was even born. AI tools are desperately needed to save budgets. That's why I built Filmmaker Berserk, because I've seen what happens when you don't own your data, don't control your money, and when you trust the system that is made up of people to do the right thing. They only care about themselves and not their team members. Whether it's a curbside or a movie release, it's the same story. And I'm here to make damn sure independent filmmakers don't fall for it again. Filmmaker Berserk is everything I wish I knew before I lost years and seven figures to lies. Before the software was created to streamline operations, seven figures. Like most people in the movie industry, I was falsely led to believe that the bigger the budget, the bigger the return. Biggest mistake of my life. We all have our dream project that is close to our heart. It is a piece of our soul. That movie for me was Nation's Fire. We feel it has meaning and that it is meant to be made and released to the world. The industry takes advantage of that. You know it and I know it. They take advantage of you not having the tools to work with precision and industry knowledge they hide. Back to Nation's Fire. I didn't write it. A writer-director friend of mine did. Even though I hated some aspects about the story, such as the school and kids being written in, that was a move made to just bring some women mothers to LA for hookup purposes. Of course, I learned that later too, but as far as meaningful art, it was personal to me. This story was a nod to the life and culture of the biker lifestyle that saved me. An underground world that comes with heavy stigma and judgment, but for me, it was where I belonged. This was the most pivotal time in my life where I got sober. Men who shunned the conventional rules and beliefs of society, those like Goldbrick, they protected me and guided me to saving myself. I was told by these Viking of men that I am going places and I deserve better for myself. I crawled myself into an NA meeting. I have been sober ever since, June 10th, 2010. My appreciation and loyalty runs deep. It always has and it always will. With my own backstory and life experiences that made me an adult by age 14, we are cut from the same cloth. I accept zero disrespect. When I had the opportunity to make Nation's Fire, I believed in it. I believed this was meant to be, so I went all in. The industry took advantage of that, and I don't play by their rules either. I raised financing, I brought in investors, I put my name and my life on the line for that film. We were unsure of the distribution process, so we hired an Oscar-winning producer and his company team to oversee our production, to make sure we had followed the guidelines to make this film available for awards and met the requirements because he guaranteed delivery to a major studio. Instead, I watched as my dream turned into a money machine for their pockets. When someone robs me, I don't just move on. Now, here's where it gets real. You want to know why I'm so passionate about AI and filmmaking? Why I believe it's not just useful, but essential. So many industries, including airports, rely on antiquated systems that leave the users struggling and financially dependent on old ways. When something new emerges, they all push back out of fear. Using outdated technology, or worse, none at all, leaves your entire industry open to scamming, manipulation, and profits intercepted with no proof, all because the old system was being exposed. Sound familiar? That's why I'm not scared of the pushback I see right now about AI in filmmaking. I've seen this before, and I already know what's coming. Right now, they laugh at it, they resist it, they say it's not real filmmaking. But soon, they won't be able to function without it. So why do I love AI? If you're not getting paid, it's exploitation dressed as passion. If your film never makes it past distributors or your work gets stolen and buried in someone else's ledger, you're not building a legacy. You're feeding a machine that was never built for you. AI changes that. It gives you back control, it slashes costs, frees up budget to actually pay your cast and crew, and makes you a real contributor to your film community, not just a dreamer scraping by. AI doesn't just assist, it eliminates the middlemen and unleashes your power as an artist. This is where filmmaking becomes real. Just like Dispatch in NYC couldn't survive without automation. Just like the chaos that erupted when color TV hit. Or how the president of the MPAA once said, "The VCR is to the American film producer what the Boston Strangler is to a woman home alone." That quote was from 1982. Now, we laugh at it because the fear was never about the technology. It was about losing control. That same fear today is being pushed by studios, distributors, and sales agents who need you to stay at the bottom. They want to keep you spending time and money on tools that keep you slow, dependent, and broke. They don't want you to automate your shot lists. They don't want you generating pitch decks in minutes. They don't want you testing your story's financial potential before you shoot. Because the second you understand the business and start using tools that remove their power, they lose their grip. Filmmaker Berserk was born from betrayal, yes, but it was forged in experience. I've lived through the collapse of broken systems. I've seen tech transform industries. And I've watched fear kill progress until the same people who resisted it had no choice but to adopt it. Filmmakers, listen to me. You're not wrong for wanting to get paid. You're not wrong for wanting control. And you're damn sure not wrong for using tools that make you faster, sharper, and more dangerous. We are not enemies of progress. We are the reason it exists. The future of filmmaking isn't about replacing the artist. It's about freeing them. And we're not waiting for permission. We're already building it. Stay savage, stay sharp, and stay berserk.